We've all had to deal with the annoyance of a paper cut, but have you ever heard about someone almost dying from one? Well, that's what one 46-year-old man from New Jersey, Michael, says happened to him, who ended up in a coma, they say with a 50% chance of survival. And he says this all happened after a simple paper cut on his finger. He's now joining us on the phone. Michael, sounds obviously so crazy. Walk us through what happened here.
I'll tell you what happened. Got a paper cut, obviously, just like I'm sure many people have gotten before in the past, and just didn't think anything about it. Well, the next morning, got a little bubble on it, so I cleaned it, put a Band-Aid on it, I went to work. Well, that afternoon, it started to get real red, and I started not feeling good. So I told my boss, I said, I'm going to go home, I'm not feeling so hot. Came home, took some Tylenol, tried to fall asleep. About 12:30 at night, it's pounding, and I can almost watch the infection climbing up my finger. So I said, Mom, we're in the hospital. So I go to the hospital. By 4:15 in the morning, they said, Michael, we're admitting you. And the last thing I remember is giving my mother a call till I opened my eyes 3.5 weeks ago. But I'll tell you one thing, the hospital I went to, Kennedy Health Systems in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, they just won a National Sepsis Award. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be talking to you probably right now.
Well, kudos to those healthcare providers. Sepsis is a scary thing, and for folks out there, we've talked about this, but sepsis is a systemic infection. It can actually come on very quickly from an infection in most cases, and clearly that's what happened here. This is not, I want to make it very clear, this is a very uncommon thing to happen from a paper cut, but it can happen from skin infections.
Anytime you break the integrity of the skin, technically, you can get an infection, and that's why we always say, you know, don't pick at things, don't self-treat with sharp instruments. And if you see something that's not healing in the proper time frame, especially if you see it's spreading really red, you start having symptoms, fever, chills, then
well, the
that's a
biggest
sign
thing
you're
that, Michael,
sick.
you said that I think it could be really good takeaway for our viewers is if you have a paper cut and you notice some redness, but then, Michael, you said something very important. You said you weren't feeling well. You don't feel, that doesn't happen with just an isolated, localized skin infection. When you start not feeling well, that's when things are moving systemically. And is that kind of when you knew this wasn't just going to go away on its own?
Kind of, yeah. Well, I started getting a little fever. It was hot and cold and hot and cold. And I said to myself, something's not right.
Sepsis is a very scary thing.
And it's hard to diagnose sometimes, a lot of times.
Yeah, and in some people it can occur, you know, out of the blue, simple urinary tract infection, and then they become septic from it. In this case, who would have ever thought a paper cut? So we're just glad, Michael, that you're alive and well, and we wish you nothing but the best. We'll be right back.